feeling so hopeless today. School started and I hate my classes and I don't even know how I feel about some of my friends anymore.
Did you hear that? Was that gunshots?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Okay. Oh my god, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Quiet, quiet. We have to listen.
We're gonna die. We're gonna die. No, we're gonna die.
Get in there.
I've been feeling really down lately. My mom's been focused on my baby sister and my little brother, and my dad's been working really hard lately. And I'm just not happy with all the stuff that's been going on around me, and I have no control over it. The other day, Kay got pulled out of school because she was cutting herself. And then Carrie's brother recently died because he overdosed on some sort of opium. And there's no one I can talk to about this because my mom and dad are unavailable, and I really only have you.
Welcome back to one of my shows about our enchanted selves as women and the resilience that we carry with us. Tonight, I have a very special guest, Jean Marie Schulman. She has been my guest in the past. I always love having her on the show with me. And we are going to talk about her history mixed in with a little bit of mine and some of the general things that women reach into or have to handle as they come into some sort of world where hopefully they are living their dream. So I did think of a couple of questions before we just sort of have enough momentum that we will come up with other questions. And if it's okay with you, Jean Marie, I'm going to ask you the first one.
Do it. I'm ready.
Okay. And the first question is, what were some of your dreams when you were young about what your life would be like and what would happen?
Well, I remember I was always drawing pictures of mansions when I was little. So I envisioned myself as wealthy. Um, and that was just like something that I just always did for fun. And then I wanted to be a veterinarian and a pianist, and I had all these ideas. And then, but when I was about, I would say about 12, 13, my parents had got divorced, and my dad was going to all these self-help things and therapy, and he would sit and like we would talk, and he was like, you're very wise. I don't know how you know these things that my therapist tells me. And I don't know why I had this like click moment that I just told myself, like, I know that I'm going to write a book someday, and I'm going to be on some kind of platform, not necessarily like an actress. I think I'm going to be myself, but somehow I'll be on a screen somewhere. So I didn't know how to like think about it because I was only 12. We didn't have Zoom and all this stuff, but I just got this like almost like a knowing inside that someday this is your path. Like, and it took me what, like 40 something years until I actually started writing. But my whole life, I never really told anyone that because I thought people would be like, oh yeah, whatever, it's kind of silly, or you'll never do it. But I've been taking notes since that age, and I still have all my books and my notes, and I knew to keep them because I'm like, someday I'm doing this. And
Wow.
wow.
Well, that's very exciting. And it's very interesting because I started to keep a diary at 9. It was a Girl Scout diary, and I don't think I was much of a Girl Scout, but I filled 3 books and then always kept, just on paper around the house, kept notes and things that were happening to me. I don't think that I got into the desires the way you were able to. But I think that what happened for me is I felt very safe in writing, and writing became one of the things that I was good at. And that was very helpful, because it was always there, as if a lot of kids writes, they hate it when they got an assignment to write a
Yeah,
story.
that kind of stuff I
Yeah.
couldn't stand, but I didn't, and it wasn't like I enjoyed writing. I didn't go to college for journalism. It was just something in my head. I actually wanted to do something very similar to you when I was older. Because like I said, I never told anyone about the writing a book. I kind of kept it until I knew exactly what I wanted. But I studied psychology and I wanted to be a psychologist and like helping people, writing a self-help book. So I was pretty clear on a vision very young. But like I said, I didn't do anything about it. And I didn't know. I thought it was like silly, one of those dreams like, oh, I want to be a pop star, it was something like that. So I kind of just kept it. But,
But it's come true. You have finished your first book, right?
I have my rough draft. I finished my rough draft. So I'm in an editing process right now. It's taken at least a year or 2 years, but I'm very proud of it. And, I learned so much from writing it. Not only was it cathartic, but it was also like, it helped me build this confidence in me that I could never have felt before. And I just sat there when, I hit the end, and I was like, wow, that is definitely, I'm not over. Like, this is going to keep going. But it was just this moment of like, man, I did this with 3 kids. I'm running a household. I'm doing other stuff. And I don't know how I managed to do it with 3 screaming children around all the time, but I mean,
Sure.
and I think that I took writing classes, and that's pretty much how it started. Just for creative energy, and I would write essays, and then I thought, hey, maybe I'm okay at this, so I just kept going. And then I was like, you know what, people like what I'm writing. So then I said, I'm going to sign up for how to write a book class, and that's how it just progressed from there. So it was really stepping out of my comfort zone to do like something I didn't think I would ever do. And it was the baby step of it, which was less scary, than diving in and writing your own book. I just started with like an essay class or how to write creatively class, very small. And then I, kept going. So.
Yeah, you did it really the right way. Would you like to share a little bit what your book is about?
Yeah. So originally I was writing about the story between my husband and I and our journey together through his battle with cancer he had cancer and graft versus host disease for like 15 years. And I was writing about how the two of us were complete opposites, but how we complemented each other. And as I'm writing this, I realized that a lot of it was, I was avoiding a lot of things because, you don't want to hit with them emotionally and whatever. And as I was reading my rough draft and I had it read by a few people, everyone kind of said the same thing, that it sounds more like resilience on your end, not so much, your relationship with your husband, but more so how you grew through all your experiences and challenges in life. And so it became like a story of resilience and overcoming. And I think one of the compliments that I appreciated the most was they said I was like rawly honest. And I am. Like I'm not afraid to say my faults, like I have ADD, or some days my anxiety was this or that, or and I go into detail about like taking meds and not being afraid of it. And I also go into details about being a wife and a caretaker. And I do go into graphic detail of, some of the injuries and the wounds, and like just being honest about how I felt about those things, because I felt like every time you watch a show, they always talk about, the person who's ill, or they don't talk about the caretaker, or they're like, oh, he's so great and blah, blah, blah. But what about the moments where you like don't want to do it anymore? What about the moments where you're burnt, or you want to like, you're like, I can't take this. How much more of this can I do? And so that was important to me to be like broadly honest, because I feel like it's relatable instead of being like, keep going and yeah, everything,
Yeah.
I just stayed strong. No, there were days I couldn't get out of bed. And I think that that's most people. So I wanted to write something that was more relatable, and honest about my situation.
And you did, and you are. You, what do you think might be your next challenge when this actually goes to final press and it turns a corner where you don't really have to keep making sure your own stuff is written exquisitely. It's done.
I think that it's the dream still. So I'm kind of taking things one day at a time. But I feel like when that happens, and it will happen, that I'm going to be catapulted into something that I didn't expect to be, or maybe I expected to be, but I didn't even know was possible. So I feel like then I need to like promote myself, and maybe then I'll have the courage to sit in front of a camera like this and do a podcast or interview other people, or somehow reach out to others on a more intimate level or personal level. So that's kind of where
Yes.
it's going.
Yeah. I
So
think you're very personable, so
thanks.
that I think interviewing other women in a way that leaves them somewhat more hopeful or understanding of themselves, you could be really very good at that.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
working on the courage. I'm working on
Yes.
the confidence. So yeah,
Yeah, well, it's courage is something we all work on, and who knows how many things we let slip by too. So we
yeah.
can't do everything, you know.
And I
And
feel like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, we just do the best we can eventually. And there are themes that I've thought of to write as could be a whole book. I just found something the other night when I was browsing on the computer, and it's like, I wrote that. I don't even remember when I wrote that. It's all divided like in chapters,
Yeah.
and it could be a little book for, say, teenage girls. And then I'm thinking, but I don't know. It lost its luster, it lost the gleam of the moment.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
part of it too. Some stuff we hold on to and some we don't.
Yeah. I think, and what's interesting too is when I first started writing the book, I was afraid to call it a memoir. And I was afraid to put myself fully into it because I didn't think that I was important enough. I thought my husband was the star, because he was this big, you know, executive, and people loved him, and he was well known and very resilient, very strong. And I didn't think that I knew I mattered, but I didn't think that one story about me would have been enough to be, to carry the book. And as I was writing it and then had other people comment back and give me feedback, I started to realize like I was a significant part of
Yes,
this.
yes,
The confidence I got writing it was, just priceless. I will take, even if if something doesn't work out for whatever reason, like I will take this experience and embrace it as I achieved something either way. So
that's great. Yes.
it's like,
What is one perhaps rule or opportunity or motivation you could give the woman that's listening to you who sees herself not as beautiful right now as you look tonight and perhaps exhausted and whatever? And
yeah,
what could you say to her?
I think, and one thing I've learned is, and I mentioned this earlier, is to not think of everything as it has to be perfect the first time, or that you need to, that there's something you want to do and like how are you going to do it? I think the important thing is to remember to put it into perspective and just start super small, like, just super small. I mean, it could be anything. Like if you want to lose weight, okay, so just do 10 push-ups and 10 crunches and start there. If you want to be a writer, just start writing small. But like, I think the small goals reduce so much anxiety that like, then you feel capable and it builds this confidence inside. So, like the movie What About Bob, when it's about baby steps, it is so true. And that's, what I think we all need to realize. And I learned from my husband's passing that life is very precious and short. But yeah, so I think something that I would encourage someone who's like, trying to achieve a goal, or even something small, is, it could be a personal thing, like they don't feel comfortable with their appearance. So just go to a MAC counter or Sephora and have someone do your makeup, learn what it's like to do an eyeliner, just whatever it is, just keep it simple.
Small.
Small,
Yes,
very
I
small.
love that. I think that is
I'm
so,
small.
yeah, like, sometimes you can do something as silly as buying a pair of socks, and it's like, this is good. I don't know if I'll ever buy another pair of socks that look like this, but it was the right
Right.
way to do something today that was part of what I needed,
Yeah, exactly.
So this is good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just keep it simple. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to, oh, I want to write a book. And then it's like you sit down and you're like, oh my God, where do I start? And what do I do? Don't even go there. Just keep it simple. Write an essay, like write 200 words. So that's basically
I
how I
think you have
to
a lot
success.
of material here that could be a very simple but very helpful book to other women.
Hope so. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
But I know your book that you're working on is much more complicated. But I'm saying like a second book that just focuses on your 7 steps to, you know, whatever, come into your own, or
oh,
create
totally.
create the vision of who you want to be.
Yeah.
You have a lot of leftover material.
Yeah.
This
I
is very exciting.
thanks.
You have come a long way since the last time I interviewed you. Everything is much more fixed in a way that it can really move forward. And I
Yeah.
congratulate you on that. I think
Thank you.
that's wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate
Um,
it.
do you have anything else you want to say? Because I really do want to keep this about you more than about me.
I think what I mean, I think one thing that I'll add is, you know, you don't always have to do something to achieve an end goal either. It could be something that you just enjoy. And so, like, for example, my son had started piano lessons, and I heard that his teacher did vocal lessons. Now, my whole life, I never sang, didn't want to sing. I was afraid. I never did karaoke, but I could do a lot of like voices and characters with, it's always with being funny and silly. So I was like, maybe I should see what I could do. And so I just set up like one lesson and I started going twice a month. And within 6 months, I actually could carry a note.
I
And
heard you. Yes.
yeah, so I was like, what is happening? So again, I started super small. And all I went to do was to see what, just, hey, one lesson and maybe two. And then I was like, and she just saw like, you have like potential, like but I knew the reason why I did it actually not only was to see what I could do, but it was more to break a fear. My biggest fear was to stand on a stage and sing. Like I can talk, forget it, I could talk forever anywhere. But I just was like, wow, that dream would be really cool. Like, let's just see. So, it was, it's 2 years now, a journey of really each step, and every few months, like I broke down so many walls. And now, like the past 3 months, I've been actually singing in front of my children, which I like never could do. My dad never heard me sing until like last year, my first performance. So he was like, what the heck? where did that come from? So, I think you find something that you know is your weakness. So mine was a fear, and try to find something or anything that you would enjoy doing in order to help that fear and break those walls. And that's what I was trying to do with that. And
Well, that's
love it.
great advice.
Thanks.
So I thank you for coming on the Enchanted Self show again. And this was a lot of fun, and give you a few months or a year and you'll come back on the show.
Absolutely.
So,
Anytime.
anytime.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.